Today's topic here, we've got foreclosure, which is one of the worst topics that we can cover in real estate, but it could also be one of the best topics because you really need to know what to do if you find yourself in this situation. There's two types of foreclosure that we deal with. One is judicial and one is non-judicial. We're going to cover the judicial process that is handled by a court of law. There are three stages of foreclosure. Pre-foreclosure, which is the period between the bank's notice of default to the borrower, which hopefully is not you, but might be you, and the property going into foreclosure. The second is a public auction, the actual foreclosure. This is the second phase. This is where the property is sold on the, where you hear, hey, we're gonna buy this down on the courthouse steps. This is the courthouse steps. And then REO, which stands for real estate owned, is the final phase of the cycle, and this is where the bank actually takes ownership of the property. So you have lost the property at that point. We're going to be discussing the pre-foreclosure phase here. Basically, you're going to have two options here. You're going to either be able to stay in the house or not stay in the house. Obviously, if you leave the house, a lot of this is also, you're going to want to know the steps that you're going to go through. But, for the time being, we're going to talk about, staying in the house. And working through this foreclosure, because there are a lot of different things that can happen to you through this process that are going to affect you for a long time. And so we'll just call it damage control. If you end up in a foreclosure situation where you think you're going to be missing payments, you're going to want to immediately take action, have the narrative in your hands. So the bank's going to go through their steps. It's a judicial process. They do it all the time. This process was set up for this particular circumstance, obviously. Here's the pre-foreclosure timeline. You're going to be 30 days late. That's the first missed payment. That's when the clock starts ticking with the bank. And of course, this is not always the case. Sometimes this is a much more drawn out process due to new laws that come into effect, especially now during these times here in 2020 and going into 2021. But this, what we're reading here for the timeline would be technically what should happen. So 30 days late. At 90 days late, the bank hires an attorney. At 120 days late, the notice of default is filed at the county court. 180 days, we're at 6 months, you're at a final summary judgment, and at 240 days, the bank auctions the property at the courthouse. So we're gonna cover some, a little did you know section. A homeowner who goes through foreclosure is ineligible for a Fannie Mae backed loan for 5 years. So here's where we're talking about the impact it's going to have on your future ability to make a purchase. So this is the damage control section where we want to make sure that it hurts as little as possible. All right, so a homeowner that goes through foreclosure is ineligible for a Fannie Mae loan for 5 years. And if you were an investor and lost that home, it's going to be 7 years. You're also going to pay higher percentage rates because you have to answer yes to the Fannie Mae question on the 1003 application for a future loan. Have you had a foreclosure or a deed in lieu of foreclosure in the last 7 years? A foreclosure will drop your credit score 200 to 300 points, typically for 3 years or more, and it will stay on your credit report for 10 years. So I thought 7 was the magic number. I had a bankruptcy way back. And at the 7-year mark, my expectation was that it was going to vanish, and I got 3 more years. So it stays on your credit history for 10 years. Now, you might not realize this also, but more and more employers are starting to look at your credit report, and even for some reason they took my credit report into account when I got my car insurance. So this could have an impact on how much car insurance you're paying, and it could have an impact on whether or not you can get another job. They're going to take a look at that credit report and say you're not financially savvy or you're not paying your bills. Here's the pre-foreclosure options for staying in the house. You could try to refinance the home. So this is absolutely the first thing you're going to want to try to do is to refi, get that payment lower, get a lower interest rate, and restructure the debt that you have. And obviously right now it's no secret that we have some of the best mortgage rates in the history of lending. The money is almost free. After that, you might want to try a repayment plan. So you can negotiate with the bank and try to get them to restructure your debt. Or, as in last week's video, we did forbearance plan. This is very popular right now. You should take a look at my previous video, everything you need to know about forbearance. It is a kind of a catch-22. It just really depends on how you want to handle it and if you're being given the appropriate information by your bank. So that's another possibility prior to the foreclosure. And then a loan modification, also kind of similar, only with a loan modification, the bank is going to step in and say, okay, we agree to do this. Probably not going to happen very easily, but you know, based on what the bank's willing to do, might be able to take your loan from 25 years back out to 30. During the mortgage meltdown back in 2007, 2008, a lot of 40-year mortgages were given. I've got people that I run into occasionally who have a 40-year mortgage. The payments are ridiculously low, and I think even potentially on top of that, there might even be a balloon payment after that. So imagine having the bank say, hey, you could take 40 years. Not only that, we're going to tack everything, you know, another 150,000 onto the back of the loan as a balloon payment. Your payments would be ridiculously low. I think that only happened for a short period of time when they were like, we can't do this for everybody. So one of the others is a bankruptcy. Now, this is definitely something that you're going to want to talk to a lawyer about, a bankruptcy attorney. You file in Chapter 7, file in Chapter 13. This is actually what I did back in when I lost my house. I filed a bankruptcy instead. May not have been the best thing for me to do because I really had no other debts. At the time, I had, I think, one credit card. That balance disappeared, and I think I might have been better, you know, working a different option for myself. So a final note here, all the above options are for staying in your house. You must be in a position to make some sort of reasonable payment that is agreeable to the bank, and make it every month. Whatever you decide to do, you're going to have to do it. So in setting up this, in setting up these restructures, the payment plans, anything that you might want to do, the refinance, you have to be able to afford it. So don't do something that is going to cause you more pain in the future to have to make yet another huge financial decision. It might not be possible at that point. You might have put yourself in, you know, painted yourself into a corner. Reach out to us anytime. My name's Corey, Model Mortgage Lifestyles. My cell phone number is 702-204-0777. Thank you.